Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Evil Dungeon Master Universe podcast. My name is Evil Dungeon Master Vince, and today we have a new episode for this podcast. It is Wednesday, middle of the week, and we're having fun here, just dancing away. Thank you for all the people that went and rated me on Spotify. I am now over 100 reviews. Surprising when people actually do something like that when you ask, and I appreciate it, and it's very nice. I was very happy to see that. Let's continue that trend, and every time someone new listens to it, go ahead, go over to Spotify and rate it. Now we need to get people to get over to Apple Podcasts, because the more ratings, the more people see the podcast. The more downloads, the more people can see the podcast as well. Ask the DM at theevildm.com is my email address. Theevildm.com is my email address as well. Hopefully you're having a great day. Today we're going to talk about the Book of Random Dungeons by Matt Davis, and it's by DiceGeeks.com. It is a 50-page book, which, looking at it, I think I may do another... I don't know if it's worth actually talking about as far as in a YouTube video, but this book promises 1,200 room items, 300 dungeon descriptors, 100 bodies, 100 inscriptions, 100 statues with secrets, dungeon origins, items to find, foes and rivals, combat complications, clues to larger quests, trap triggers, trap effects, non-combat encounters, weird scenarios, riddles, dungeon maps, and more. So, looking through this, it's 50 pages. I got this at Half Price Books. I saw it on the shelf. It was for $2. I don't know how much it actually goes for, but I figured for $2, 50 pages, if this can help me out just a little bit in an adventure, I think it'd be worth it. So it gives you how to use this book kind of section and how to, handle it by Matt Davis. And then there's a build a dungeon section, which I thought would be fun, would be interesting to use, because you can do the dungeon origins, and it has a D20 roll table, and then items to find while in the dungeon, and then foes and rivals, and then combat encounters, complications, and then clues to larger quests. These are all random roll tables, so this would be good if you're having a little bit of trouble getting an idea for an adventure, and you want to send them into a dungeon. This is perfect. It even actually has the room types, the room features. So if you want to put some features in the room and you're lost for actually doing anything, then boom. The doors, if you want to know what type of door is blocking this room, bingo, you got it right there. Trap effects, if you want to put traps in there, things that trigger the traps as well. Random rolls, all random rolls. The non-combat encounters and complications, like there's one that says a fox is a fox in a cage pacing restlessly back and forth. It's just like, okay, I guess you can work with that. It goes over to 2 different pages with 1d20 roll. A young girl sits in the corner weeping. You're going to find that in the middle of a dungeon? I guess you could. You might work with that. And then it has dungeon descriptors, like if you were playing solo role-playing, and how Game Master Emulator would have its own chart for you to roll on for descriptors. You have your own descriptors here. There's 3 different pages of descriptors of D100 to give you ideas. Room items I kind of liked, because it had about 3 pages here. No, 4, 6 pages I'm up to now. 8, yeah, 10. This is probably the meat of the whole thing. 12, yeah. 12 pages of room items, and it's actually really, really good. I like that you just roll on this chart, and you can roll on it. You could probably do a 1d12 and then do for room item numbers. So you roll like a 2 and you go to room 2 items, and then roll a d100, and then say you get, like, I don't know, you find a holy flask filled with holy water on it on the floor. That could be something. You can work with that as a GM. Let's see. You find a goblin skeleton in the middle of the room. Wonder why that goblin skeleton's in the middle of the room. Is it because maybe there's a fountain in there and he drank from it and died? I don't know. You find a horn on the middle of the floor. You find a horn on the floor. I don't know, whatever. You find a broken arrow. Why is there a broken arrow in here? I kind of like this because it gives you little inspiration on what could possibly be in the room. Let's see here. And then dungeon details kind of goes into like various things you could find in there, like bodies. The dwarf is halfway swallowed by a giant crystal in the room. The remains lie in an odd position on the floor, and a gem has been placed in its mouth. Wow, that's kind of odd there. These different bodies on their inscriptions. This was I thought was actually really cool. There is an elven description on the wall, and it's scratched into the wall, and it says all the trees are gone. Language common. Language elvish. All the flowers are gone. I shall welcome death when it comes. Written in elvish, located on the floor, and die. That's kind of interesting to me. Inscriptions. Troubles of death should not grieve us. Common. Located on the wall. Medium. Paint. It goes a bunch of descriptions. There's no actual building of a dungeon with this. There's just ideas for building a dungeon. There's a whole thing of secret statues when you could a giant serpent coiled around a warrior. Location underneath. A shaft looking down into a gladiatorial pit. I don't know. An elf queen holding a scepter. Location of the secret underneath. A decaying head. I'm not sure I really want to find that, but you know, these are things you could find while looking around. And then it has some weird scenarios, which, as the party enters the old lab of some mad scientist, they are shrunk down to about a fourth of the inch of their height. They must traverse the room to find the magic item that can return them to normal size. This item is located on the table. So, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and, blah, blah. Then it goes into some riddles, which are very helpful for a GM because sometimes you're just looking for a riddle, but not too hard. And Googling riddles is sometimes a pain in the ass. What force and strength cannot get through, I with a gentle touch can do, and may in the streets would stand. Oh, and many in the streets would stand, were I not as a friend at hand. Solution a key. So there you go. And then they do have some minor dungeon maps in here. A couple pages, 3 in fact. And it looks like, kind of looks like, what's his name? Dyson map. Though I don't see any credit for it. Maybe they just used a program to generate it. Not sure here. Let's see if they have any credits in the beginning. No. Oh, maps by wadabu.itch.io. So he used the program there for it. They look like just like Dyson maps almost. But it's a pretty decent book. I mean, $2. I can't beat it. If it's going to give me a bunch of ideas for random events in a game for D&D or something like that, I would definitely pick it up if I were you. I mean, anything could help run an adventure and make everything better for you. Let's face it, planning an adventure sometimes can be time consuming. And while this is a hobby, it's fun to sit down and plan out an adventure, but sometimes it takes a lot of time to put together something really solid. And like a book like this, and there's a couple of them out there, like quests, random this, random that, random events that happen, things like that, random this. Dice Geeks has a whole bunch of them because I was looking on their website. And anything you can do to give yourself an edge when creating an adventure or a campaign will definitely help you as a GM. And it's worthwhile. Especially if they're cheap, pick them up. And hey, maybe one day you're stuck on something, you roll on one of these charts, and boom, a whole flood of information starts coming out because wow, you just got it inspired by one little prompt. And generally, that's what happens with me. Sometimes I'll get stuck, and I'll get GM block, and I'm like, oh crap, what am I gonna do with the guys this week? And I'll just start looking around, and I'll start reading on Reddit, and I'll start reading on Facebook and Mayway, and trying to find ideas for other campaigns and from other campaigns, and I'll grab an idea as simple as something like I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I ran my group through this dungeon this week where they were trying to find the Sword of Power, and I'm like, ooh, Sword of Power. That sounds interesting. What can I do with the Sword of Power? Well, the Sword of Power is forged by one of the gods in the mountains, and boom, it starts going from there, and I just start writing it backwards, and it was lost into the world, this Sword of Power. The Sword of Power is a sword that every warrior or fighter in the world is looking for. Once they get their hands on it, they will have the ultimate power in the world. So I start building this bad guy who now wants this sword. So now we have an adversary, and we start working from there and moving forward while actually moving backwards in the campaign and writing. So now we have our hook, we have our adversary, and we have everything we need. Just little ideas like that, just from a prompt I see somewhere. That's at least how I work. Tell me what you think. How do you work with writing your campaigns? These books? Do you use books like these for inspiration? Do you think they're dumb? I'm curious to know. Don't forget to like the video, comment below, and don't forget tonight is our live stream on the channel here on youtube.com/evilDM. Random Rolls chat with myself and Jeff. We're going to be talking a little bit about, to start things off, we're going to kick off with Green Lantern Corps and maybe coming up with a new color for them, and then we'll see where the conversation goes from there. It's always random. It's always just going all over the place. So we'll see what happens when we do that. Friday is our members only chat for the YouTube channel. If you want to support the channel, 99 cents a month, you can get a members only stream. Only you guys get it, and usually we have a lot of fun on that because everybody drives the conversation. You get to have a say in things and what you want to see going on with the channel coming up. Well, I'm going to head out. Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night. God bless. And don't forget, there is no drama, no clickbait, all gaming on this channel. Good night, everybody.